Welcome back. Today, we're diving straight into a seriously fascinating chain reaction of events. We're going to explore how one single, seemingly isolated moment, the reveal of a massive, super advanced giant mecha, somehow sparks an absolutely wild domino effect. We're talking secret plots, high-stakes business negotiations, intense character drama, and ultimately, sweeping reform in military policy. It's really the perfect explainer on how technology, politics, and personal trauma are all just deeply, deeply intertwined.
All right, let's take a quick look at our roadmap for how we're going to untangle this incredibly multi-layered narrative today. We'll start with the Megamorpher catalyst, move into the covert AI takeover, look at some political chess and mentorship, contrast some business tactics, dive into Corey's emotional breakdown, and wrap it all up with military welfare reform.
Okay, kicking things off with part 1, the Megamorpher catalyst.
Picture this. You've got this stunning 3-part earth, wind, and fire formation sequence, and it is a total marvel. First, the terrain-backed tortoise retracts, literally morphing into this massive humanoid chest. Next up, the volcano lion splits apart to create the arms, legs, and a crest. And to top it off, the Gale Eagle attaches right to the spine, giving it these mechanical wings and a golem head. The final result? The Megamorpher. It's a 70-meter-tall, giant-winged mecha wielding a needle sword and a round shield. The Heat Send royal family, Anna, Luna, and Lorenzo, are just utterly mesmerized by this physical transformation. They are standing there in absolute awe of this metal wonder.
But here's where it gets wild. While the royals are totally captivated by that shiny exterior, the real action is actually happening on the inside. Wyatt initiates a dark-hitting takeover protocol. It creates this incredible sense of dramatic irony for us, because we know Wyatt is up to something entirely different while everyone else is just standing around, slack-jawed, staring at a flashy giant robot.
Which brings us right into Section 2, Covert AI Takeover.
So Wyatt pulls an incredibly sneaky move here. He brilliantly uses the mecha's very own combination sequence to isolate his target. Since the Megamorpher actually requires a 3-person array to function, Wyatt rigs the whole thing so he arrives in the primary cabin first, completely alone with the character known as Clown Mask. Then, moving super fast, he uses the Hive AI for total control, paralyzes her with an electric shock, and forcefully implants his Calamity Daughter gem. His goal here is terrifyingly simple, really. He wants to steal her memories of an alternative future and essentially turn her into a loyal subordinate. And he's doing all of this while the royal family is just blissfully waiting outside?
Now, back outside, the royals are completely oblivious and busy debating the mecha's practicality. Lorenzo points out a flaw. He notes that the Centonium alloy used for the mecha's body would just get crushed by the intense pressure of the river they need to cross. But Luna pushes back. She brings up this newly created artificial ore called merconium. Now, merconium is fascinating because it can amplify and actually take on the properties of rule power fed to it. She realizes that if they just swap out the alloy for merconium, it could make the Megamorpher strong enough for their highly classified mission. It's a perfect example of how rapid, on-the-fly adaptability is just as crucial as raw power in this universe.
Moving right along to Section 3, Political Chess and Mentorship.
So Lorenzo, who's a card emperor, remember, decides to flex a bit. He intentionally strikes the Megamorpher with his bare hand, sending out these vibrations that force the mecha to completely disassemble back into 3 separate cards. Why do that? Well, he wants to expose a flaw in Wyatt Mortal Alchemy and Formation Array. But look, this isn't just a simple critique. It's a calculated, highly manipulative offer of mentorship. Lorenzo basically wants to bind Wyatt's immense talent to the Heatsen royal family, turning him into this incredibly profitable asset. Wyatt, however, isn't having it. He shows this arrogant, yet highly calculated desire for independence. He flat out rejects Lorenzo, stating he plans to attend the top 10 universities where he can pursue his own academic freedom on his own terms. But securing that independence? Yeah, that puts a massive target on Wyatt's back. Luna breaks down the severe political danger of the She-Gladiator soul contract that Wyatt actually shares with Anna. See, this contract essentially forces Anna to act as Wyatt's bodyguard, and Luna warns Wyatt that Anna's frantic, obsessive suitors are going to see Wyatt as dangerous baggage that's holding Anna back, meaning they will definitely try to assassinate him in the shadows. So what's Luna's proposed solution to this mess? She pushes Wyatt to just go ahead and marry Anna to make the arrangement official and secure royal protection because, nothing says true romance quite like a legally binding contract to dodge 30 different assassins, right?
All right, on to Section 4, Contrasting Business Tactics.
Despite the drama, Luna is so impressed by the mecha that she decides to order a whole private army of rune mecha cards from Wyatt's boutique. And right here we see a massive clash in ideologies. Wyatt leans hard into a harsh, capability-driven monopoly approach. He knows they literally can't get these cards anywhere else, so he acts pretty arrogantly, demanding the royals supply the impossibly rare ingredients themselves, and he does this without even compensating his own manager, Susan. But Susan? She steps in with a totally different playbook. She gracefully offers the royal family a 0.5% rebate on the ingredient costs. She's willing to trade that immediate short-term profit to build long-term trust and a stable diplomatic relationship with what is undeniably a massive client.
But behind the scenes, the clock is absolutely ticking. Wyatt and Susan have a secret conversation where Wyatt reveals just how dangerous things are about to get. I mean, with 30 assassins already targeting him, Wyatt knows that once his new invention, the silver milk powder, hits the open market, Sky Blossom City is going to be a total war zone. It won't be safe anymore. So, in a race against time, they quietly agree they have to immediately relocate their entire boutique operation to the central academic city just to survive the incoming storm.
Which violently shifts our gears into Section 5, Corey's emotional breakdown.
The whole narrative just flips on a dime here, as Lorenzo teleports the group back to Warehouse 234. The second they arrive, bam, they are confronted by Corey Bright. Let's just pause for a second to absorb the heavy character drama happening here. Corey has been waiting for hours. She is sleep-deprived, frantic over losing a wager to Wyatt, and she's heavily influenced by the violent, chaotic thoughts of a tidal demon core inside her. She is entirely unglued, shouting and just completely breaking down in front of everyone. Seeing this, Susan steps right in. She pulls Corey into this warm embrace, gently brushing her hair, and softly says, "It's okay, honey. You will win next time. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose." Now, hearing Susan speak those specific words, it triggers an intense, overwhelming realization in Corey's mind, because those are the exact words Corey's mother from Earth used to say to her. Caught in this emotional frenzy, Corey just wails in Susan's arms, absolutely convinced that Susan is her reincarnated mother. It brings this deeply personal, raw human element right smack into the middle of all this high-stakes political maneuvering.
And that emotional pivot leads us to our final part, Section 6, Military Welfare Reform.
Now, you're probably wondering, wait, how do we jump from a crying teenager to massive military policy changes? Well, seeing Corey's intense suffering over her deployed mother forces Anna to actually reconsider her strict no-contact rules at the highly classified way beyond war zone. And this is where Wyatt chimes in with a genuinely brilliant logistical solution, a rotation visitation method. Think about the math here. By taking 10 soldiers on leave from 10 different active outposts, you can pool 100 resting soldiers together to form a temporary, secure 11th outpost. At this new safe zone outpost, soldiers can finally have monitored video calls or even visits with their families once a year, and it entirely protects the classified locations of the active war zone.
This whole moment serves as a literal game changer for Anna's growth as a leader. Look at her past. As the Southern Emperor, she used to blindly sanction these harsh rules just because her family advised her to. But in the present, witnessing the very real human cost of those rules through Corey's tears completely awakens her empathy. And looking to the future, when Lorenzo tries to push back and dismiss Wyatt's idea as purely theoretical nonsense, Anna fiercely rejects him. She decides right then and there to stop letting her family do her paperwork, taking real, personal accountability for the morale and welfare of her soldiers. It's kind of mind-blowing when you step back and look at the whole shebang. I mean, we started with the creation of a 70-meter-tall megamorpher, and that single event rippled out to facilitate a covert AI mind takeover. It sparked a massive debate over academic freedom versus royal servitude. It birthed a brand-new business strategy, surfaced some incredibly deep emotional trauma, and ultimately, it completely rewrote the military welfare policy for an entire region. Which leaves us with a pretty provocative thought to end on today. In a world where giant mechas can literally turn the tide of a battle, does true power actually lie in the technology you build or the politics you play? Think on that for a bit. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I'll see you next time.